3-3 tie, Dallas and Minnesota at the Metrodome. You think you have what it takes to be an NFL coach? Then log on to foxsports.com or NFL.com and play Predict the Play, where you earn points for correctly predicting the next play and compete against others in real time during today's game on foxsports.com.
You know, the way things are going in the NFL, I don't know why you would want to be an NFL coach. I'll tell you, with its free agency and players moving all over the place, it's tough to keep a job for more than 3 years.
Jason Tucker hit down at the 20. Chris Walsh down, good coverage.
Initiating data download.
At Merrill Lynch, we're still bullish.
Analyzing data.
From Wall Street to the world.
My driving test kind of got off to a bad start.
On calls like this, you want to talk a while. That's why it's always a good idea to dial 10-10-321.
Well, I thought I was in first.
With 10-10-321, you save 50% on calls over 10 minutes. Now, that's just 8 cents a minute, day or night.
I was supposed to turn on the blinker.
And no monthly fees. And at 50% off, you can go on and on and on.
So finally, I pull out of the parking space.
Talk as long as you want with 10-10-321.
This Fox NFL special, the Nfc Wildcard, is brought to you by Chrysler, giving you back the romance of driving. By Merrill Lynch, be bullish. By 10-10-321, dial 10-10-321 and save 50% on calls over 10 minutes. That's just 8 cents a minute. And by Microsoft. Where do you want to go today?
With John Madden, Pat Summerall back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Dallas and Minnesota tied 3-3 in this wild card contest.
Cowboys have 2 tight ends now. On that big run to Emmitt Smith, they were in 2 tight ends.
But pass was deflected as Aikman tried to drop it over the line.
You know, do both of these quarterbacks look a little tight to you?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you know, Troy Aikman, remember throwing over the head down there in the end zone. Jeff George, I don't think he's completed a pass yet. And I mean, Troy's pass here, he has pretty good pass protection. And again, he just throws that one, you know, right into old Jerry Ball, who's about 6'0", and you know, can't jump higher than this.
Being blocked by Larry Allen. And let's see what happened. Aikman called another timeout, I believe.
Yeah, this is the thing, and you don't know if it's a noise or not. They said last time they played here, he couldn't hear in his helmet, you know, when the play was being called in, so they went to the wristbands. They said if he can't hear the play now, they'll go to the wristbands again. In fact, you can see that he has the wristband on now. So what they do, instead of calling the play into his helmet, they just signal in a number. And, you know, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then he reads a corresponding number off the wristband.
Well, if it's anything like it was in the beginning, I couldn't hear you, and I was sitting right next to you.
Yeah, and then it gets louder, you know, when the offense has the ball, and then it gets louder on 3rd down. So you can see that the 2 things they do, they'll go to the wristband on 1st and 2nd downs offensively, and then they'll go to the silent count on 3rd down when they're in shotgun.
3 wide receivers, 2nd and 10.
Vikings are in their nickel or 5 defensive back defense.
Aikman going deep. Got somebody out there. The Rocket, Ishmael.
That's the one that they were looking for on Jimmy Hitchcock. Here's Jimmy Hitchcock out here. Now they think that when he's up tight that they can get a little move and just run right by him. And when they saw that, they had the 7-man up, and so they knew. In fact, Chan Gailey said last night, he said, when they get up there and gang up on our run, our outside receivers have to win the battles. That time, Rocket Ismail won the battle with Jimmy Hitchcock.
And got 45 yards to Viking territory. Tucker comes out in motion. Aikman's going to throw again, and does, to LaFleur. Just dropped it up the middle.
You know, it's funny, the Cowboys talked more about working on Jimmy Hitchcock, the regular corner, than when they go 3 wide receivers, they get Robert Tate playing as a corner on the other side. He's number 28 for the Vikings, and he was a wide receiver. And so you would think that they would go to work on him, but they go 3 wide receivers, and they go to work on the other side on Jimmy Hitchcock.
2 tight ends set up again. It's Lucky and LaFleur. And here's Emmett. Hit behind the line of scrimmage by Clemens. Dwayne Clemens.
That was one of the things that they were talking about is not going in to Eric Williams. Here's Dwayne Clemens here. Be an athlete. Make him use his quickness instead of his strength. And that's exactly what they did there. And Clemens just gets in there, and he just comes off and splits everything.
He got inside LaFleur. 3rd and 6.
Andre Patterson, the defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings, was saying that, you know, when you play against a guy like Eric Williams, who's a very physical guy, a very tough guy, and if you play right into him, you're playing into his game.
And Aikman takes another timeout. That's all that Dallas had in the first half. We're in the first quarter. 3-3. The Cowboys have used all of their timeouts. They're working on LaFleur, the big tight end.
Yeah, the Cowboys have had a couple problems here. I think one is with noise, hearing, and the other thing is sideline confusion. Look at this. They've had a false start, and they've used all 3 of their timeouts.
4 wide receivers. Eric Williams backs up, and we're going to get another flag.
Yeah, so this noise is getting to them. I mean, it's throwing their whole thing for a loop. I mean, it's the penalties. It's Troy Aikman not being able to hear. It's not having enough guys. They only had 10 guys on the field. I mean, they are very, very disorganized at this point.
You know, if you talk to the Minnesota people, they're all amazed that Atlanta came in here last year in the championship game and didn't have a single penalty because of the crowd noise.
They used a silent count the entire game.
Here's Aikman back to throw. Steps up into the pocket. Fires. Got a man. Complete. Ishmael gets down to about the 10.5-yard line. Make it the 11.5.
When they finally got it straight, they did it well, didn't they?
Yeah. If we can just get the message.
Yeah, just keep everyone on side. You see, Eric Williams gets a pretty good block there. He knocks his guy out just as Troy Aikman steps up and finds Rocket Ismail coming on across. That was the first time on this play, was the first time that the Vikings blitzed all day. And they caught him in the blitz. They got Robert Griffith on Rocket Ismail.
LaFleur is back. It's 1st and goal. They're right at the 10.
Ismail's caught 2 passes for 70 yards.
Blitz coming. Aikman throwing. Incomplete.
That was the second blitz.
Let's go down to Ron Pitts to see how noisy it is.
All right, Pat, you know what? It is very noisy down here. In fact, it's so noisy, before the game, they were handing out earplugs to the people in the stands, particularly in the end zone sections. And you notice when the Cowboys get beyond the 50 going in, the amplification of the noise really starts to pick up. Pat, back up to you.
DJ didn't hear a word you said. 2nd and goal. Aikman throws low for Ishmael. Let's go back to Ron Pitts again.
Yeah, Pat, you know, DJ Johnson is standing right next to me, and I could be saying all kind of bad things about him. I don't think he hears me.
I don't hear you at all. I think it's so loud down here, especially in between
from up above, not just around the outsides from the speakers. I think it's coming from the speakers in the ceiling as well.
It's definitely got the Cowboys disoriented.
Back up to you, Pat.
Well, turn around, you guys, because there was a penalty marker on that last play.
And it was roughing the quarterback, and the call was against Jerry Ball.
Well, that's it.
You see Troyman pulls the ball down, brings it back up, and it looked like Jerry Ball hit him with his left hand right in the face.
Yes, he did. First and goal at the 5. Here's Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt cuts it back and into the end zone is Emmitt.
Tell you, he is something. I mean, Emmitt Smith, if you just keep handling the ball, good things are going to eventually happen. You can see here, he starts in the I formation, and this is where he runs the best. Right here, and he's going to get to the outside. Now, Minnesota would like to keep his shoulders from getting square. They're okay now. You see, he's still not square. He's perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. But watch when he squares up. When he gets his shoulder square, then he can make all those moves, and the Vikings aren't tackling well either.
Again, a good block by Robert Thomas that time on Rudd. McIver pulling did a good job as well.
We were talking to Emmitt Smith last night, and he was saying, you know, a couple of years ago when he had bad ankles, he couldn't make these cuts. And he says now he's back, and he said his ankles feel great, and he can do things like this. I mean, these are artificial turf moves. These are Emmitt Smith's moves. So you say, geez, he missed a lot of tackles, but Emmitt Smith, by his movement, makes you miss tackles.
Dallas on top 10-3 with 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
If you say Robert Thomas has done a good job of blocking so far. He started out the season as a linebacker. Moose Johnston was injured. They moved Robert Thomas over to the offensive side. Then he became the starter. And Emmitt Smith was telling us last night, of all the guys on the team that he works with the most, it's Robert Thomas. And you can start to see it in the game.
Jerry Ball, that was a key penalty that was called against Jerry Ball. He got his hands to Aikman's face on the way down. Toby going to kick it off. Robert Tate is back deep.
I think Troy Aikman came back after all that confusion and did well on that drive.
Yes, he did. Tate tripped up just outside the 20 and a flag on the play.
I think we talk about the intensity going up in the level. You know, as you step up and you go into playoffs and all those things, you can feel it here. Where you really feel is special teams.
Of the receiving team during the run back. 10 yards. It'll be first down.
This is what they're going to call right. Oops. That's not even close to not being holding.
No.
You can't say on that one. I don't have any idea what that official's looking at in that one. We have a great idea what that official saw on that one.
4:50 left to play in the first quarter. Dallas up 10-3. Jeff George 0 for 3. The Viking quarterback. To Robert Smith. That's the guy the Cowboys really felt they had to control. He didn't play against them when they met in regular season.
Remember last time we talked about Jeff George. Look at this. He started out 4 out of 11 for 33 yards in the first half, but he had a touchdown, remember, right before the halftime.
That was got him back into the game.
Right. Then in the second half, he was 13 for 19, 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, and it started the same way today that he started the last time they played.
Deion Sanders way left this time as George drops, fakes, gives to Smith. And Robert Smith hit from behind and hit hard. But a first down. Leon Lett bringing him down.
I know what Denny Green's thinking now is he was saying that he wants this to be a physical game. So he wants to start running at these guys. You know, instead of just letting them pass rush all the time, make them hang in there and play against the run. That time, you know, we talked about Thomas, how he was blocking. Jim Kleinsasser, who was the fullback of the Vikings, he made a good block on that play. He's a 270-pound fullback.
George to Smith. About 3.
You know, it's always the offensive linemen that are asking for that. You know, we say, you know, let's get settled down. Let's get settled down. And the way to get settled down is this. Just let your offensive linemen tee off on the defense, move those legs, and just run right in behind them. I think if there's anything that settles an offense down, it's the running game generally, and specifically the straight-ahead running game.
Good play by Chad Hennings on that last one. 2nd and 7. And George again gets to Smith. And Smith gets a Viking first down. Randall Godfrey went for the ride.
You know, we had Denny Green on before the game. That was the thing that he said, that, you know, that Emmitt Smith ran well last time against you, and you're going to have problems with it. And he is having problems with it. But he also said, don't forget, we didn't have Robert Smith in the last game, and we're going to give them a pretty good dose of Robert Smith today.
And the Vikings are going to change their dose now as they run in Leroy Horde. And 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers.
That's not a bad combination. Smith being the speed guy, Horde being the power guy.
George, deep, overthrown. Intended for Chris Carter. Darren Woodson close by.
Darren Woodson had great coverage on that because Chris Carter was trying to get to the post, and Darren Woodson not only ran stride for stride with him, but he kept him out of getting into that post. Think about Darren Woodson and, you know, how good he is as a run guy, but watch him here. See, he keeps that position. That's a bracket. They're inside out on Carter. He has a good inside position, doesn't let him get into the post. And Jeff George has no place to lead him.
Same offensive setup. Horde is the deep back. George gets to Leroy Horde, and Horde can hurt you. Ecubon took him down.
And you can just feel that that's what the Vikings are doing. You know, we had enough of that, you know, that passing, that 0 for 3. Let's get physical. Let's make those guys hang in there. Let's get a body on a body and make them tackle our running backs, Leroy Horde and Robert Smith. Vikings were doing the same thing there. They were running some out of 3 wide receivers to spread them out, to open some of those holes, to run a draw in.
Here's Smith. Lunges across midfield. Time-consuming drive by the Vikings. We're down to just over a minute left in the first quarter. And Dallas 10, Minnesota 3.
And you can see what the Vikings are doing here, you know, establishing the fact that they can control the line of scrimmage. And Dallas, by countering, they're starting to roll their defensive linemen in. As you see, Dave Campo, the defensive coordinator, they just changed their entire defensive line personnel, the Cowboys did.
Robert Smith hit behind a run blitz. Godfrey blitzed right into him.
You know, it was that old split 6 blitz, and, you know, here's the 2 linebackers right here, Godfrey and Coakley, and you see that they're going to hit this hole. And again, you want to get back here, get penetration. You not only blitz against the passing game, but you can also blitz against the running game. And that time, Randall Godfrey blitzed right into the run.
Vikings are already over to the sideline. They're going to let the first quarter come to an end. Joe Albazano runs the special teams, looking on. And it's Dallas 10, Vikings 3, into 1. Next weekend, it's NFC divisional playoff action on Fox. First on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 Pacific. The Redskins battle the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then Sunday at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. Today's winner will try to continue the playoff run and shoot down and shut down the St. Louis Rams. It's all next weekend, only on Fox.
Look at this. Chris Carter has only been thrown to twice. They haven't thrown to Randy Moss yet. And Jake Reed one time.
George gets rid of it. Leroy Horde.
Yeah, but that's not enough.
A lot of dancing, but not much
a lot
gaining.
of dancing and gained about a yard, so they're going to have to punt. And that was Jeff George's first completion. I think what Denny Green was trying to do is just kind of slow down the momentum here, because the Cowboys had everything going and Emmitt Smith was running. They just wanted to let his defense rest a little, do that with the running game. You know, he runs the ball 7 times, throws it 2, just to calm everything down. And I think we'll see now when the Cowboys get the ball, we'll see if it works.
Mitch Berger back to punt. Deion Sanders deep for Dallas. High kick and a deep one, and there's a flag on the play. A Viking bounce and now a Cowboy bounce. Flag way back in the end zone.
Yeah, there was 2 flags back in the end zone. They were behind Deion, so it can't be someone leaving early or anything on the punting team.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Too many people?
I wouldn't be surprised if there were too many people. That's an area the flag would come from.
Flag goes down.
12 men.
12 men.
5 yards, and the result of the play will be a first down.
Yeah, that's a key first down, as they had too many people on the field. The Cowboys.
And we were talking about that's been the Cowboys' problem so far in this game is kind of sideline confusion and being able to hear.
Well, that's been a problem all year long. Penalties.
The sideline confusion.
Sideline confusion as well. There you can see what a factor the penalties have been this year. They are the most penalized team in the NFL.
And a lot of these things today are just self-destructive. I mean, they're not aggressive penalties, or they're not playing penalties. They're just, you know, not having enough guys in the field, have to take a timeout, having too many guys in the field, giving Minnesota a first down.
2 tight ends set up. Robert Smith, the ball carrier, surges ahead for about 4.
The Minnesota Vikings are one of those teams that you can't let sit in there for a long time, because you know they can light it up, and
they got so
eventually they're going to.
Yep.
They haven't thrown to Randy Moss yet, which I think is a mistake. I think when you have a guy like Randy Moss, a young player only in his 2nd year, that you have to get him the ball, and you have to get him the ball early in the game.
2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. Smith deep. George. Intended for Andrew Glover, overthrown as George had to hurry.
A lot of things Jeff George can do well. One thing that he doesn't do well is throw on the run. When he gets here and he has to move out, he is not good at that. And you can see, I mean, that ball just went right over Glover's head. And they can't get those safeties to come up. And we're talking about those deep safeties staying back, and you can see they're back there 20 yards right now.
3rd and 6. Glover on the move, and here's George back to throw it. Deflected. And again, Minnesota will have to punt.
Dallas is playing very good defense. I mean, I think that, you know, part of it, you say that Minnesota hasn't gotten started, and they haven't gotten started. They haven't done anything, but the Dallas defense is a big part of that.
That was Dat Nguyen who got his hand up just in time to deflect that George pass. Berger to punt again.
Last night, Deion Sanders told us that he really likes Dave Campbell's defensive plan for this game.
Yeah.
So far, it's been pretty doggone good.
Berger. That should sail into the end zone. And the Cowboys will start from their own 20.